It's not fair. नमो अरिहन्ताणं नमो सिद्धाणं नमो आयर्याणं नमो उवचायाणं नमो लोए सवसाहुणम। जय जिनेन्द्र सभी को। आज जनवरी 13, कल जनवरी 12 से हमने सेमेस्टर 5 मोक्ष मार्ग प्रकाशक से शुरू किया है, छठा अधिकार। आज उसको कंटिन्यू करेंगे। हम पढ़ रहे हैं, हमें जैन होते हुए भी कुगुरु कुदेव कुशास्त्र का मिथ्यात्व कैसे हो जाता है ना, उससे कैसे बचें, कैसे अपने आप को नोटिस करें। कई बार हमें पता भी नहीं होता है कि हम कुप्रथाओं का सपोर्ट कर रहे हैं। तो इसलिए इट्स एन इंटरेस्टिंग चैप्टर। तो चलो, लेट्स शेयर द वीडियो, आई मीन सॉरी, बुक। तो कल तक हमने कुछ कुछ चीजें जो पढ़ी, सम ऑफ देम वाज कि भाई कैसे कई लोग पेड़ को भी पूज लेते हैं, पत्थर को पूज लेते हैं, देवी देवता को पूजते हैं। कई लोगों को तो समझ ही नहीं है, और जिनको समझ है, कई बार क्या बोलते हैं उसको, अपनी मजबूरियों के कारण किसी ने कह दिया तुम्हारा बच्चा देवी देवता को इसको पूजने से ठीक हो जाएगा, तो कर लेते हैं। तो उसका कल अपन ने सारा लॉजिक समझा कि हाउ इट वर्क्स। कभी कभी निमित्त नैमित्तिक संबंध से काम कर सकता है, पर उसके लिए आपका पुण्य का उदय भी होना चाहिए। पहले वो हो तो ही वो निमित्त नैमित्तिक संबंध बनेगा। और फिर अपन ने व्यंतर के डिटेल्स पढ़े कि व्यंतर क्या क्या कर सकते हैं और कैसे उससे प्रभावित नहीं हो। तो अब हम उसके आगे पढ़ेंगे कि फिर हमने ये भी कहा कि कई मंत्रोच्चारण मंत्र भी, जैसे कि पामिस्ट्री, स्टार, सभी चीजें दे आर रियल, आई मीन दोज आर साइंटिफिक नॉलेजेस विच इज फाइन, बट दे आर नॉट वर्थ काउंटिंग ऑन, है ना। वैसे जैसे हमने मंत्र से चीजें हो सकती है, जैसे लोगस का पढ़ा कि वो बेड़ियां कट कट गई। ठीक है, देर आर सर्टन साउंड्स जिनसे कुछ चीजें हो सकती है। नथिंग रॉन्ग विद बिलीविंग कि ऐसा हो सकता है, पर उस पे डिपेंड होना इज नॉट राइट। अब
Prabhaji, I have a question about this.
हाँ,
Are all Vyantar devs always do masti or like teasing, or they are sometimes nice
no, no,
also?
no. There can be very different levels of Vyantardev. ठीक है, सबकी अपनी एबिलिटीज होती हैं, इंटेंशंस होती हैं। कोई बहुत द्वेष भाव से सच में किसी को परेशान करने आए होते हैं, पर उनकी एबिलिटीज इतनी नहीं होती हैं कि वो सच में किसी को बहुत हार्म पहुंचा सके। इसीलिए अपन ने वो कल पढ़ा ना कि ऐसा लगता है वो कि भाई वो हार्म पहुंचा देंगे, पर जो उनको क्या बोलते हैं, इग्नोर करते हैं, जो अपनी विल पावर अच्छी है, जो ज्यादा स्ट्रॉन्ग पर्सनालिटीज हैं, उनको फिर वो बॉदर नहीं करते, दे लीव देम अलोन।
Hmm.
एंड जस्ट लाइक अभी मनुष्य लोक के जीवों में हर एक की अपनी अपनी एबिलिटीज हैं, वैसे ही व्यंतर में भी किसी में ज्यादा एबिलिटीज हैं, किसी में कम है।
Hmm. And Prabhaji, वो पुण्य की वजह से व्यंतर देव बन गए?
I was just going to ask that.
सी, ओके, हमने पढ़ा पुण्य और पाप कैसे वो होता है, राइट। पुण्य के फल में आपको अनुकूल संयोग, अब वो व्यंतर होना उनको अनुकूल है या नहीं, एंड अगेन इट्स रिलेटिव। व्यंतर में जन्म हुआ इज बेटर देन नरक में हुआ या तिर्यंच में हुआ, बट इट इज नॉट एज गुड एज अदर हायर लेवल्स ऑफ देवगत या मनुष्य।
But Prabhaji, so if they're teasing people or whatever, then they're adding to their pap, right?
Of course, the intentions everywhere, no matter which bhav
Everything,
you
right?
are in. Right, right, right.
That doesn't change.
That doesn't change. So
Yeah.
that gati gives them that extra abilities, ठीक है ना, How they use it is still upon their bhav.
Yeah.
तो जैसे यहाँ पर है, आपको गन मिल गई, चाकू मिल गया, अब आप उसको कैसे यूज करोगे? सो एबिलिटीज तो lot of people have good abilities and they use it for the wrong purpose. और कई व्यंतर अच्छे भी होते हैं, they come and help the family with whatever abilities they have. तो सब ऐसे नहीं होते हैं.
So only the family ones will help family, right? The non-family ones won't come to
Normally it
help
makes
family.
sense, क्योंकि कई बार क्या होता है ना कि they are in a situation where some attachment is left and they reached that gati because they have the ability to come and see what's happening. So because of that attachment is not yet gone, then they feel like helping. ऐसे.
Fascinating. And it's
And
even more fascinating because there's at least two of you that have experienced, you and Hemal have experienced this. So this makes it very real, right?
yeah, actually,
Yeah, yeah.
after my grandfather died, he stayed around for 2 or 3 years to help me. It is just unreal. Throughout
Really?
his life, he never helped. I never knew that he even liked me or he knew I existed. But after he died, he was around to help. It was just so strange. I
So,
generally
okay.
don't talk about this in public because it'll be like, oh my God, this is weird. Is she gone cuckoo? But I think in this group, I don't mind sharing.
So even in my family, my peer side family, we tell him Tauji Maharaj. So he comes in, like he came to my mom's thought when my brother was small. So we all believe in him. So yeah, it is there.
हाँ, तो क्या होता है कि भाई फैमिलीज में कई बार ऐसा होता है. सो ऑब्वियसली फैमिली तो उन पे ट्रस्ट करेगी ना, भले उनकी एबिलिटी है कि नहीं हेल्प करने की. थोड़ी चीजें सही बता भी देते होंगे, सब नहीं भी बता सकते हैं, पर वही इसी को तो मिथ्यात्व कहते हैं. देन फैमिली स्टार्ट्स बिलीविंग कि हमारे लिए तो वो देवता है, उनको पूजना है, उनका दिन है. अभी घर में शादियां होती है तो पहले उनको प्रणाम करने जाओ. सो मेनी थिंग्स जस्ट रिवॉल्व अराउंड इट.
So
But I
Prabhaji,
never even told anybody that this is happening, to do all those other things. I didn't even know you do all those other things if they exist around you.
so Prabhaji, one of our friends' husband passed away recently, and she, the wife, who was left, she was sort of saying, she said, she kept telling her kids, listen, you cannot be sad, you cannot be, whatever, because you've got like 3 days or 4 days to make sure that the soul goes in peace and that they don't come back, or what's...
No, that is not our belief. Our belief is within one samay, the soul gets the next gati.
And the reason they are around is if they went into this Vyantar Dev Gati, then you feel
Yeah,
there.
only if they're in Vyantar Dev, only then they can come back or whatever. But otherwise, no, the soul has right away gone into the next gati.
Understood.
Now, yeah, that is clear to me. I used to think the soul is around for 2 years. That's why they are talking, But it's not the soul, as they are in their next gati only, and they are
Yeah.
communicating.
Yeah, we don't have that with 13 days and 3 days and none of that. Those, I think, systems are just made to make the mourning process a little easier. And I felt it. It does make a difference when a family members goes. So 3-4 din tak, so many people are visiting you. So your mind is distracted from that sorrow. Then 13 days tak, then people are visiting. Fir, up to people don't have time, but I've in smaller towns, where coming and going is much easier, people visit 3 times a day. So other than meal times, you're not left alone. So it helps with the grieving process.
But Prabhaji, the grieving is going to happen regardless, no? After all this
Yes.
intervention stops, then you will be left alone and then you will be thinking those things.
Right, but still it helps. Day and night you're crying versus you're distracted. These rituals are made. Abhi kya hota hai? Even your close one left, immediately you have to get busy making arrangements for funeral, making arrangements for meals, making like even if it's your own husband or even if it's your own whatever, still. So that distraction helps.
Prabhaji,
And still it
Bindu ji
doesn't
raised.
go away. Of course, it takes a year or less, depending on your mental. I mean, I'm talking about for average people. It takes a year to really, even if you're not as attached, फिर भी that person's presence, that vacuum, it takes a little while. That's all.
तो मैम वेंतर के भी जैसे देवों का जितना इतना बड़ा जो भव होता है उनका भी उतना ही भव होता है.
I'll have to confirm, because Dev Gati in general, yes, 10,000 years is the minimum. So I have
So,
to
ma'am,
confirm if the answer is the same.
besides Vyantar Dev, other devs do not have this capability to visit us, or
They do. They have capabilities. जैसे कोई तरह के देव, अब करंटली मैंने इतना नहीं सुना है, पर कोई जमाने में पूजा में देव आ सकते थे. देवों को नंदीश्वर द्वीप जाते हैं, वो पूजाएं करते हैं. So they do have extra different abilities. And वो अपना फॉर्म शेप कुछ भी बदल सकते हैं. वैक्रिय शरीर होता है ना उनका, तो वो instantly they can change their looks and all that.
they can even pass on a message to
और
us if they want to.
humans की तरह they are not born as babies and फिर उनको बड़े होना है. They are born as a youth.
Right.
Dolly ji, what were you saying?
These devs, they can pass on the message also to us if they are willing to, or if they want to.
No. What do you mean by pass on the message?
I'll tell you, ma'am, this is a very personal experience. My great-grandmother-in-law, she expired, and once while I was meditating, I was just imagining where she might have been, or if she just come down. Maybe this is just all illusion, or maybe I just imagined, I don't know. But she did visit, and it was pure energy. But yes, I could make out this is my grandmother-in-law. And she just passed this one message ke Dolly, આપણે આપણું કામ કરી લેવાનું છે. But one thing which was very distinct was that she was not at all attached with this sansar. It was like I literally pushed her to visit me, and then she just left. I mean, it was very clear that she was into dharam. That's it. No attachment, no interest with this, Parakshetra or whatever you may call it, ma'am. This was one.
Yes, I mean, the Devi Devtas can, like, there is a story about Sita, who is in, don't know which level of Devta. She's Dev right now. And that Dev went to Narak to tell Ravan, right? So
Yes.
obviously they can go.
Lakshman
Now,
and Ravan.
whether they are visible, what exactly, I wouldn't be able to tell you the details. And maybe they can go in some roop, maybe they can go as no roop, because they have all those possibilities.
This is powerful. Wow.
Yeah.
So, ma'am, do I consider this as my grandmother-in-law giving me a message? I mean, or still not,
it's possible.
or is it just an illusion that
See, it could be either. कई बार क्या होता है ना, like, so that person, like, lot of grandparents constantly tell their families, like my husband, like, whenever he talks to family members, he'll always tell them that only this is worth doing. So no matter what you are into, find time to do this. So what, like, how will they remember him? Obviously that way, na? So, so it could be mild illusion. It could be the other way too, क्योंकि बहुत सारे पुण्यशाली आत्माएं देवगति में पहुंच ही जाते हैं. तो it could be, either way. So okay. So let's
Prabhaji, we
continue.
start with Vyantaron ke Avdhignan kisi. Oh,
Okay.
Binduji has raised her hand.
Yes, Binduji.
Vyantar Dev thing is not, how some people believe that Dev, some body possesses Dev. So this is not that, or this is different, isn't it?
It is. That's exactly what it is.
Like how
They
some
can
people
use that
believe
as a
that some
medium.
Dev is possessed by some human and they can answer your question. It's same.
Yes, same. That can happen.
Thank you.
Yeah, because she explained yesterday, it depends on how weak the human is, and they allow the Dev to enter their body.
Mhm.
I think she said that yesterday.
तो कई बार कोई स्ट्रांग पर्सनालिटी के उसमें नहीं जा सकते, तो कई बार वो बच्चे के उसमें चले जाते हैं, कई बार इट्स इंटरेस्टिंग. आई मीन, आई वुड कंसिडर माई सेल्फ नाउ स्ट्रांग विल, बट आई रिमेम्बर एज अ चाइल्ड हमारे फैमिली में कोई मिल नहीं रहा था, राइट? अब उस जमाने में फोन्स नहीं होते थे, कुछ नहीं होते थे. There was this one guy had come, and I was little, and he particularly chose me. He had some trick कि that family member जो कहीं नहीं मिल रहे, कहीं चले गए थे. So he did something on my thumb. And I still remember that scene, that on that thumb, I remember seeing this person, that we couldn't find, कि वो train में जा रहा. Can you believe that? So somehow, because I was a child, they must have hypnotized me or whatever they did, कि, I could see it. So back then, I used to not understand, but now, like, it's okay. It's not a huge surprise for me. So, व्यंतरों के अवधि ज्ञान किसी को अल्प क्षेत्र काल जानने का है, किसी को बहुत. Like I said, they all can have different abilities. Some can see so many yojan far, some cannot see as far, ऐसे. और वो, but they can see is पुद्गल. वहां उनके इच्छा हो और अपने को ज्ञान बहुत हो, तो अप्रत्यक्ष को पूछने पर उसका उत्तर देते हैं. सो अभी व्यंतर आया किसी के बॉडी में, आपके घर में, आप उनको पूछ सकते हो कि यू डोंट नो फलाने का क्या हाल है और वट एवर, एंड देन बिकॉज दे कैन सी, दे कैन टेल यू. And again, honestly, these things applied more in the ages when there was no phone calls, no cell phones. मतलब कोई चला गया तो you wouldn't see them. पहले तो लेटर का भी नहीं होता होगा कोई जमाने में. So they more applied. अब वो सब kind of, they don't make sense. So अल्प ज्ञान हो तो अन्य महत् ज्ञानी से पूछ आकर जवाब दे देते हैं. Okay, so they have the ability. किसी और को पूछ के भी they can tell you. अपने को अल्प ज्ञान हो व इच्छा न हो तो पूछने पर उसका उत्तर नहीं देते, ऐसा जानना. अल्प ज्ञान वाले व्यंतर आदि को उत्पन्न होने के पश्चात कितने काल ही पूर्व जन्म का ज्ञान हो सकता है, फिर उसका स्मरण मात्र रहता है. इसलिए वहां इच्छा द्वारा आप कुछ चेष्टा करें तो कहते हैं पूर्व जन्म की बातें कहते हैं. कोई अन्य बात पूछे तो अवधि ज्ञान तो थोड़ा है, बिना जाने किस प्रकार कहें. जिसका उत्तर आप न दे सके व इच्छा न हो, वहां मान कुतूहलादिक से उत्तर नहीं देते व झूठ बोलते हैं, ऐसा जान. So now you see, this answers my question. कि like I said, that one family member जो आते थे अब नहीं आते. Why? Because there's a limit how long they will remember the previous janma. Slowly, it fades away. So maybe then they stop coming because they don't remember उनके previous relationships and janma. देवों में और
Is that what is said in this paragraph?
yes, they said कि देखो अवधि ज्ञान, पहले तो क्षेत्र की लिमिटेशन कम ज्यादा हो सकती है. फिर दे सेड कि
ज्ञान की.
हाँ, ज्ञान की. फिर स्मरण क्या लिखा कि अल्प ज्ञान वाले व्यंतर देवादि को उत्पन्न होने के पश्चात, सो द मोमेंट दे टेक बर्थ इन दैट गति, कितने काल ही, अप टू सो मच टाइम ओनली, पूर्व जन्म का ज्ञान हो सकता है. फिर उसका स्मरण मात्र रहता है. So in the beginning, they can clearly remember their previous life. So suppose some father died leaving children behind, and they know like they were responsible and they left the world early with the family that was dependent on them. So वो एक attachment तो रहता ही है ना. तो उस गति में जाके उनको शुरू में तो clearly याद है. So then that time they probably want to keep coming.
What is इच्छा द्वारा आप कुछ चेष्टा करे?
So suppose that Vyantardev came, right? Now that time has passed when they remembered everything clearly, but they came. Now, if you ask them, they don't remember clearly everything. So, but if you still make the effort to ask them something, तो वो previous lives की बातें they will tell, but because their span of how far they can see has reduced, so either they don't answer or they may answer wrong. So that is the whole point, is because of all these, it's not worth trusting them or worshipping them.
Now over here it says जिसका उत्तर आप न दे सके वह इच्छा न हो. Aap over here
Again,
is
aap means
Vyantardev.
Vyantar here. Aap is Vyantar. So again, if they don't know the answer, then either they don't feel like answering or they don't want to be insulted. So they will tease and give wrong answer.
Oh.
What is man putu?
Man is the man kasha, na? Pride. उनको लगता है मैं आंसर नहीं दूंगा तो ये लोग सोचेंगे मुझे नहीं पता है, तो इससे मैं कुछ भी बोल दूं, इनको क्या पता.
So, ma'am, past life regression, hypnotism, and there have been incidents where
Those are
people.
different topics. Those don't have to do with the Vyantar. No, that's your own mind going in back, which happens. I did a Vipassana camp, and people told me they could see their past lives and things like that. Then there was this one lady who had come from Africa who had lost all her family in some war or something. And she had that very strong regret that she couldn't be there when her family was in trouble. So which made her, so this meditation helped her somehow go through that journey, whatever she was explaining. I mean, because after the camp ends, everybody talks about their experiences. So.
Ma'am, over here again, one more question. Because you visited the Vipassana camp, does it help in understanding our Jain religion, Dharam? Because
no, Vipassana is definitely nothing compared to what we are learning here. If it helps, is only to train you to be more aware. That's all. See, normally अपने minds ना इतना focus नहीं कर सकते. Your minds are always distracted in 10 different directions. Now there, you're doing nothing else except focusing on your breath, focusing on whatever. There's you're limited to so little what you're observing. But what it teaches you is to observe and not react. So all day you're given instructions that you look at your breath. Let's say you're looking at your breath. Now you're going to go, your mind is going to go haywire, like everybody says. The moment I sit into meditation, normally I may not be thinking of those things, and I end up thinking of so many different things. So they teach you, okay, fine, you got another thought, you look at it and you let it go. So they're teaching you how to let go, how to observe, how to, and still be within yourself. So that's the only one thing that you kind of get out of it compared to like what we are learning here.
It's a very far-fetched idea, ma'am, but we cannot achieve Samyak Darshan, right? I mean,
no, not at all. Not at all.
Oh, yeah. So my husband also, a couple of friends have done it, including my husband. And they said the other part that they also learned was a lot of all of those regrets and things that you've been having for a long time sort of all comes up into your brain and you start resolving or dealing with it.
Yeah, because you are not. So what is happening is, number one, it's 10 days long. So 10 days में क्या होता है कि जो outside चीजें, I was just fortunate enough that I probably didn't have much baggage. तो मेरे तो कुछ आया ही नहीं. The funny thing is, I had left behind a small child, okay, with my mother-in-law. So first day only, thoda thought आया कि वो बच्चा, like, my kid, what it must be doing. But that's about it. I had probably nothing else to think. तो मतलब my mind, nothing was coming. So, और या फिर कभी obviously the whole time ऐसा nothing नहीं था, once in a while आ जाता था. So then they would teach you, okay, so now you were supposed to focus on the breath. Now you got a thought external to the breath focus. So you watch it and you let it go. Don't be attached to it. Don't have aversion towards it. See, कि ये भी नहीं, अरे मैं तो focus करने की कोशिश कर रही हूँ, and why did that thought come? No, you are not supposed to do that. Or you're not supposed to be कि हाँ चलो मैं उसको पकड़ लूँ moment को. So basically you are learning सहजता. How to just move on with life as if कुछ movie आपके सामने चल रही है and you're just there. So in that sense, yes, it lets you practice, but at the same time you're in a very what do they call it, experiments के लिए क्या बोलते हैं उसको,
Controlled environment.
controlled environment, that's what I wanted to say. Yeah, so you're in a very controlled environment. तो उस टाइम तो आप कर लेते हो, but as soon as you come home they tell you to continue. So शुरू में 8-10 दिन महीना चलता है 1-1 घंटा बैठ के, पर अब आप ब्रेकफास्ट बना के आए, जॉब जाने से पहले 1 घंटा निकाल के बैठे हो, your mind just goes haywire everywhere. What did I just do? What's the next thing I need to do? And all kinds of stuff.
It is
So,
exactly like how we didn't do Pathshala for these 3 weeks. We became
Yeah.
more raggy. It's the same effect.
Please.
So, but still, if you continue with it, so at least that 1 hour you get to practice it, which calms you down for the rest of the day. So it is effective, but not a lot of people are able to continue because once you get in the rut of things. So because same thing, अनादिकाल से बाकी चीजों की practice है ना, तो those come easy. इसीलिए तो बोलते हैं कि stay with स्वाध्याय, stay with these things, push yourself to be in these thoughts and these things.
So if you're in a community of people that do Vipassana regularly after those camps, then it may still work.
Yes, it will still.
Just like we have
I
this
do remember
continuity here.
experiencing कि before I'm irritated about anything, I could feel it in my body. Your observation power gets so strong. And then the habit of whatever is coming, observe and leave it. Let it go, let it go, let it go. No attachment, no aversion. No attachment, no aversion. So obviously your life will be smooth. Whatever comes your way, you're practicing. There's no hate. Samta bhav. There's no like, there's no unlike.
Basically, this group just has to stay together now for the rest of our lives. Okay, we have to meet on a constant basis. That's all this is. So, Prabhaji, you're going to be our teacher for the rest of our lives, getting together every week.
I totally agree with Trupalji.
I am
Definitely.
terrified of what's going to happen after 5 years. I have to tell you right now.
I was terrified when the sessions were not going on. I was like, oh my God, this holiday is not working.
Agree.
So, फिर देवों में ऐसी शक्ति है कि अपने व अन्य के शरीर को व उद्गल स्कंद को जैसी इच्छा हो तद अनुसार परिणमित करते हैं. इसलिए नाना आकार आदि रूप आप होते हैं व अन्य नाना चरित्र दिखाते हैं. अन्य जीव के शरीर को रोग आदि युक्त करते हैं. सो क्या है, अपने शरीर को वो पुद्गल स्कंद रूप जैसी इच्छा हो वैसा बना सकते हैं. दे हैव दैट एबिलिटी. इसलिए they can make different shapes and they can come in different characters and they have the ability again कि दूसरे के शरीर को तकलीफ दे दें. ठीक है. Now again, I'm not saying that it's completely wrong. Yes, it is possible to happen, but again उस person का उदय वैसा होना चाहिए. That person has to be weak type of person. So all those things apply.
So does that mean they can change form? That they can take on forms and they can change
Yes, they
forms?
can take on form. Yes. And people do experience. कई बार होता है कि let's say you were merging into a lane and I'm sure at some point everybody experiences this. कि you were merging and there was a truck coming right on you and somehow like, oh, I didn't see that and how did I get saved? you kind of wonder what happened here. Just some external force like help, saved you or something like that. So a lot of people can have those kind of experiences.
And that's Vyantar Dev?
Possible. I mean, not just Vyantar, there's all kinds of Devi Devtas and all kinds of energies that can be floating around.
So Prabhaji, the reason his Todar Malji has written so much about this topic, right, is because I guess during that time there was a lot more of this
There
happening.
was a lot. Yes, today you don't see a whole lot of this anymore. Think about it. When you were a child, you probably heard a lot more
Yeah.
of these kind of stories.
Yeah.
Our kids don't hear any of these stories anymore.
Nobody talks about it. It will be weird
Yes,
to talk
nobody
about
talks about
things
it.
like this.
I grew up with that little game. I don't know if any of you guys played. When I was in 5th, 6th, we would all children and some adults get together. इतना बड़ा सारा circle बनाते थे. And we would
Yes,
or
yes.
something.
then everybody puts their finger on the katori and I was very strong-willed, so I would really purposely see कि कोई जानबूझ के कर रहा है कि is it actually moving and so
But
and it
ma'am,
would
it
actually apply
worked.
certain things,
Yeah, but somewhere it did work. I mean, I had asked my SSC question.
I thought so too कि हमने बहुत gentle finger रखा था and that katori was actually moving and giving the right answers and it was like
So Prabhaji, over here when it says अन्य जीव के शरीर को रोगादि युक्त करते हैं means
yeah, means a weak bodied जिसका कि उदय आ रहा है शरीर का, that wave can be nimit in giving them that role.
So they torture other people's bodies?
Yeah, they can. Yes, they can.
Ma'am, I have a doubt.
Oh.
और आजकल भी कई लोग कहते हैं, let's say I remember like when I would, let's say in villages तो बहुत common है, like you go there and like somebody is praising you because of your behavior, because of your beauty, whatever, and you happen to fall sick. So the normal thing is, अरे इतने लोगों ने तारीफ करी, इनको तो नजर लग गई. नजर लग गई means I'm assuming it means some Devi Devta, something happened, so they made you sick. Oh, whatever. And then they would do this mirchi ka thingy and then वो कहीं फेंकते हैं आग में, and if it makes smell like ऐसे तो फिर मतलब सच में नजर लग गई थी और वो उतर गया. Again, I've actually seen it work, but it may not work all the time. That's the point.
If you were not in this chapter right now and you were talking about this, I would say this is all superstition.
I agree. But you guys have experienced it.
You want to
now it's more real.
Possible. It's not. No, so bottom line is it's not completely humbug. It's possible. Yet it's not worth worshipping it.
Worshipping, that's the key.
So
right?
I wouldn't be now arrogant. No, don't do this to me because I don't agree with, I don't believe in it. None of that. Fine. ठीक है, let them try. होगा कुछ तो ठीक है, निकल गया तो निकल गया, नहीं निकला तो भी I'm okay with it. So, but if I strongly believe in it कि भाई ऐसे करने से हो ही जाएगा, it doesn't happen, then it's a problem.
So then
now I know the reality. What are the possibilities?
So then this whole thing with amulets and the black tikka and right, all that
stuff. Yeah. I mean, no, not all of them have to be correct. Some of them are just imaginations. Because the baby is pretty, if I took a black tikka, it is not looking as pretty anymore, so people won't be able to do the nazar. So I mean, I think that just doesn't make any logical sense.
Yeah.
Prabhaji, I had a question, Prabhaji, on that, where they say that वो पुद्गल का स्वरूप ले लेते हैं. But how is that possible? Like we are just saying every dravya is independent, this, that, and the other. Then how can they just take the Pudgal skand and make it their shape? Like, is this just their limits, or how does that work?
Again,
from that point
जैसे हम भी सब काम, what did we learn? कि मेरे हाथ ने उठ करके ये काम किया, right? Eventually, it is still independent. Everything is happening,
and it was meant to be.
Right? Yes, but yet निमित्त नैमित्तिक संबंध, मेरे भाव भी तो साइमल्टेनियसली साथ में चले ना. तो when they say कि वो इसका रूप ले लेते हैं, वो अपने भाव करते हैं, पुद्गल का परिणमन अपना चल रहा है, उनकी सोल उसमें गई, वो उसका अपना चल रहा है, So eventually it's all like that.
But it says it
But
they
for
have the Shakti. The word is like they have
the
Shakti.
right.
But what does
So
that mean? They have the will. They can will
that
that to
means
happen.
ki, yes, they have the will to do इच्छा. Maybe अभी हम में क्या है? हम इच्छा तो कुछ भी कर सकते हैं. But does everything happen? No.
Okay.
But in some gati, for example, I can wish that I should be able to see in the dark. But I don't have the ability because of the gati, Manushya gati. Cat can wish I should be able to see in the dark. And being the cat gati, it has that ability.
Got it.
Like that.
So, and then the other thing is, you mentioned
So
that.
gati anusar.
Oh, that. Okay. The other thing was that nazar lagana, that black thing. But in many Jains, I see them wear that raksha potli.
That's what
What is that?
So again, they're all mithyatva. I mean, obviously, no, it's not going to happen to everybody who is wearing the raksha potli ki unka kuch bigdega nahi. One could have worn the raksha potli in the temple and on the way have an accident and die.
The same thing
not
with
going to
the
prevent
puja,
you
right?
from
She was talking about before. Those are all.
It's just a mental.
But I see many, like lots and lots of Jains, like they all wear the raksha potli. So I thought it's like, I mean, we don't have that, but I saw a lot of my other Jain friends would have that on their hand. The red.
I know this whole concept of it. So what happened, like when my son graduated high school, we put this thread or whatever potli on. But again, it's just a tradition to make you feel that you're protected. The concept was that by tying that, you are being protected by your dharma. Protected कोई धर्म कोई ऊपर से आपको नहीं कर देगा, but gives you the consciousness that you should stay with your dharma.
Cannot hear you, Hemal. Hemal, you are mute. Hemal, you are mute.
I also feel that these threads that we wear or people wear, no, is just to get us grounded back in our Jain Siddhants. That's all the value of those things.
It should
और
be.
जैसे धर्म की रक्षा करना बोलते हैं, right? You should protect the religion. Obviously, what is religion? It's protect yourself.
Yeah, dharma is vastu swarup.
Yeah.
So vastu swarup को
तो
protect
वस्तु स्वरूप
करो
को तुम
from hinsa.
समझो, वो धर्म की रक्षा हो गई.
But more, it's more the reminder कि what your swarup is, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
But I think it's come to mean different things, all of this Raksha Potli and all of that.
See, everybody wants to be dependent. And the dharma is actually to make you independent.
Yeah.
It is independent. That's why.
Yeah. So, Raksha Potli ka original meaning kuch hoga, but then people changed it. कि मंदिर में जाके ये पहनने से आपकी रक्षा हो जाएगी. No, that is not the case.
Because as true religion went back into the background, all these other meanings came up, I would say.
Also, I also think, right? But these meanings also came up because, sorry to say, sometimes I feel after learning all of this is that maybe perhaps also it's what is then becomes the importance of the pandits and, and it's another form of power, right? To sort of say, hey, I have the ability to do this. You can
another way of enticing people to come to this.
Right? Coming to you. I mean, it was been fascinating after.
Yeah, possible. Also, what sanskar will you give to your kid? By, you graduation, you go to the temple, you do this, you do that. So, for example, like I said, when we did it for our son for graduation, right? We did the potli just so like, because he had non-Jain friends, whatever. So just so they feel like some ritual was done. Okay. So we tied that Raksha potli on everybody. But the significance we made of that is that this is something thread being tied to you to remind you of your virtues. That you are not to eat meat, you're not to lie, you're not to whatever, those kind of vows. Dilane ke liye. And fine, it's a symbolism that it's tied on your hand to remind you as you, going out in the
I think
world,
very
without your parents, you're
powerful.
going to college.
And I think, yeah, which can be very powerful, it's if done that way, right?
So, yeah, यहाँ इतना है कि अपने शरीर को, we already read that. Okay, so let's change the page.
No, we didn't read that.
Oh, we can read that.
So see what they're saying. Okay, fine. So वो कर सकते हैं, but again same thing they're repeating. इसलिए सर्व कार्य करने की शक्ति नहीं है उनमें। अन्य जीव के शरीरादि को उसके पुण्य पाप के अनुसार परिणमित कर सकते हैं, ऐसा नहीं है। उसके पुण्य का उदय हो तो आप रोगादि रूप परिणमित नहीं कर सकता, और पाप उदय हो तो उसका इष्ट कार्य नहीं कर सकता। Got it?
Yeah.
So the punya और पाप का उदय takes precedence over whether they can be निमित्त or not. अब उसका ऑलरेडी पाप का उदय था, and now the dev was able to bother, तो उसको निमित्त माना जाएगा। इस प्रकार व्यंतरादि की शक्ति जानना। यहाँ कोई कहे इतनी शक्ति जिनमें पाई जाए, उनके मानने पूजने में क्या दोष? अपने पाप का उदय होने से सुख नहीं दे सकते, पुण्य का उदय होने से दुख नहीं दे सकते, तथा उनको पूजने से कोई पुण्य बंध नहीं होता। रागादि की वृद्धि होने से पाप ही होता है, इसलिए उनका मानना पूजना कार्यकारी नहीं है, बुरा कराने वाला है। So now you understand how to take this?
Yeah.
So what they're telling you is, so it's, see, we said कि all those things are possible, right? So what will people say? Oh, उनको इतनी possibilities है, इतनी शक्तियां हैं, क्या पता मेरे एग्जाम में मुझे पास कर दे, तो क्या फर्क पड़ता है? एक बार जाने से पहले उनको तो अपन पूछ के ही चले जाए ना एग्जाम देने से पहले। तो उसका आंसर बताया कि नहीं, आपका नहीं होना है तो नहीं होगा, और वो पूजने से जो मिथ्यात्व का पाप लगेगा वो अलग। So it's only going to harm you. तथा व्यंतरादिक मनवाते हैं, पूजवाते हैं, वह कुतूहल करते हैं, कुछ विशेष प्रयोजन नहीं रखते। They really don't even care कि you worship them. Then जो उनको माने पूजे उसी से कुतूहल करते रहते हैं, जो नहीं मानते पूजते उनसे कुछ नहीं करते। यदि उनको प्रयोजन ही हो तो न मानने पूजने वाले को बहुत दुखी करें, परंतु जिनके न मानने पूजने का निश्चय है उससे कुछ भी कहते दिखाई नहीं देते। So which way are you better off? तथा प्रयोजन तो क्षुधादिक की पीड़ा हो तब हो, परंतु वह उनके व्यक्त होती नहीं है। यदि हो तो इनके अर्थ नैवेद्यादिक देते हैं, उसे ग्रहण क्यों नहीं करते? वह औरों को भोजनादिक कराने को क्यों कहते हैं? इसलिए उनके कुतूहल मात्र क्रिया है, अपने में उनके कुतूहल का स्थान होने पर दुख होगा, हीनता होगी, इसलिए उनको मानना पूजना योग्य नहीं है। Right? Everybody got it?
No,
Ma'am,
these
तथा
last few lines not.
Yeah, the last
Exactly.
2, 3, right?
Okay.
तथा
What they're
प्रयोजन
saying is कि हाँ, सो वो अब कई तरह के होते हैं, आई एम श्योर, रिचुअल्स कि वो व्यंतर देव आता है, किसी को पता है, वो उनके लिए खाना परोसते हैं, उनको कुछ कुछ करते हैं, बट देन दे विल से नहीं नहीं नहीं, उसको दान कर दो, उसको ये कर दो। दे देमसेल्व्स कैन नॉट कंज्यूम एनी फूड।
I see.
सो इसलिए वो खुद तो खा नहीं सकते, तो बोलते हैं उसको खिला दो, ये कर दो, एंड दे आर जस्ट लाइक अगेन टीजिंग।
So the
उनके
people who
कुतूहल का
experience Dev are the ones who are indulging by making the food and doing all of that stuff.
So what they're saying is, when you experience that they're only teasing you, then you will be upset. So
I
that
don't
is
get
why
that.
it is not worth.
What
Okay,
is this?
what they're saying is,
What is this?
kutuhal again is teasing. Remember, they're just playing around.
What is the meaning?
So
तथा
what's the question,
प्रयोजन
Hema?
तो क्षुधादिक की पीड़ा हो तब हो, परंतु वह उनके व्यक्त नहीं है।
तब तो means so what they're saying is, suppose so Vyantardev says कि इतना इतना खाना यहाँ चढ़ा दो या दे दो किसी को. So what they're saying is, if the intention was that they are hungry and they are able to eat, that would be different, but that is not the case. They cannot eat. और फिर पहले बताया कि उनका प्रयोजन हो कि मानने पूजने वाले को, so if they really wanted कि you worship them, तो जो नहीं वर्शिप करते हैं उनको बहुत दुखी करेंगे, but that is also not the case.
Not happening, right?
Or, right? So then you're better off not believing in them, because then they're not going to come bother you. So बाकी वो पीड़ा, हंगर की पीड़ा उनको व्यक्त नहीं होती, उसकी बात की बाद में, which we discussed. तथा कोई पूछे कि व्यंतर ऐसा कहते हैं, गया आदि में पिंडदान करो तो हमारी गति होगी, हम फिर नहीं आएंगे. सो क्या है? सो दैट इज अगेन समथिंग दैट हैपेंस. दे से कि वो ऐसा बोलते हैं कि सपोज किसी को, लाइक वी सेड, कि किसी के उसमें आ रहे हैं एंड ऑल दैट, so then the Pandit ji will say कि गया में पिंडदान कर दो. या even today they have, I know Hindus have this 1 month or certain time of Shraddh. So if whatever tithi your relatives death date happens, you're supposed to give donations to Brahmins, whatever. There is some rituals in Hinduism. So basically those are all mithyatva. None of that is actually happens. So जीवों के पूर्व भव का संस्कार तो रहता ही है, व्यंतरों को भी पूर्व भव के स्मरण आदि से विशेष संस्कार है. इसलिए पूर्व भव में ऐसी ही वासना थी, गयादिक में पिंडदान करने पर गति होती है, इसलिए ऐसे क्या कार्य करने को कहते हैं. यदि मुसलमान आदि मरकर व्यंतर होते हैं, वे तो ऐसा नहीं कहते, वे तो अपने संस्कार रूप ही वचन कहते हैं. इसलिए सर्व व्यंतरों की गति इसी प्रकार होती तो भी समान प्रार्थना करें, परंतु ऐसा नहीं है, ऐसा जाना.
Just the last
So
statement.
a Jain would.
So the last statement.
So basically, what they is, Jain became Vyantar. He didn't have that sanskar ki gaya mein karne se kuch hota hai. So he is not going to advise you that.
Understood. So it's dependent on what gati they are from and what they will therefore do, or is that what you're saying?
No, what their purva
Right.
gati was.
Yes, because they
Correct.
take the purva sanskar. Yes.
So if
तथा
purva gati
सूर्य
mein they were
चंद्रमा.
animals, then what kind of advice they would give?
Yeah, I was just wondering about that, and I wonder if they can go into Vyantar from animal, from Tiryanj Gati. Let's see if they put that in here. Maybe you can really go to Vyantar from human form. I'm not sure.
Okay.
So तथा सूर्य चंद्रमा ग्रह दिक ज्योतिषी है. So those are also Dev, right? उनको पूजते हैं, वो भी ब्रह्म है.
Wait.
So
The sun and the moon are what? Sorry.
वो
say-
ग्रह है ना, they are considered, the ग्रह की
Yeah,
पूजा
ग्रह.
करते हैं. People
हाँ.
say when those ग्रह are in different positions,
yes.
depending on your birth, all those things, right? नहीं होता है कि तुम्हारे अभी लाइफ में कुछ ठीक नहीं चल रहा है, तो तुम्हारे शनिचर की दशा है, तो उसकी पूजा करवा लो, all those things.
So
मैम ये जरूरी थोड़ी ना है कि सारे वेंटर परेशान करते. It could be like there are some ventar, they are silent. They can be in a silent form, right?
Oh yeah, of course, there are silent ones too.
Then जो animal गति से आए हुए हैं, they don't have any such kind of thing. They can be silent even if they are ventar.
It's possible, I just don't know. And let's see if this chapter includes that, कि कौन से गति से व्यंतर बनते हैं. Did you have a question, Nipa? Your hand is raised.
Ma'am, one more thing. जब यहाँ सूर्य चंद्रमा ग्रह आदि की बातें हो रही है, तो how come where does this come, नवग्रह?
हाँ, तो वो नवग्रह वही होता है ना, उसकी पूजा करते हैं लोग.
बट नवग्रह की पूजा if I am not wrong जैन्स में भी होती है.
I don't know. I know Siddha Chakra Pujan is prevalent. Unless Navgrah ki puja is not a Jain thing and it has come from Hindus, and Jains just do it.
They have, in fact, for each grah, they have made a Jain, what do we call it? Jain mantra.
Something,
I have that
I'm
with
not
me.
very sure. I'll just check my book and let you know.
So I will have to look into that because हमारे जैनों में भी इस तरह की पुरानी कुछ पूजाएं, कुछ मंत्र, ऐसे मिथ्यात्व चीजें आई हुई हैं. And they are going to cover all those also.
क्योंकि जब विधान मंडल की पूजा या
They
कुछ
are
होती
not
है
saying
उसमें
जैन में
नवग्रह की
मिथ्यात्व
पूजा.
नहीं.
Yeah, because again, right, that doesn't make sense. Back to that एक द्रव्य दूसरा द्रव्य के कुछ करते नहीं है ना.
Right, right.
Because
मैम
one of
ग्रह के वी हैव 9 तीर्थंकर को करा हुआ है मैम, जिसमें मुनीश्वरनाथ भगवान भी आते हैं और उनकी पूजा होती है हमारे इसमें नवग्रह में.
हाँ, कुछ तो होता है वो, कुछ विधान चक्र मंडल जो होता है
Obviously,
उसकी पूजा में ये
सुव्रत
वर्ड
स्वामी is
आते
not
हैं.
coming down. He is a सिद्ध शिला में है वो तो
नो मैम,
डेफिनेटली
हमारे
नहीं.
9 तीर्थंकर भगवान में ही 9 भगवान को ही वो नवग्रह में पूजते हैं. मतलब जैसे मुनीश्वरनाथ भगवान
अब
भी है
वो अलग
5.
बात है. So maybe
Yes.
they call it नवग्रह, but it's actually not the ग्रह सूर्य चंद्र. It's they
हाँ,
just
वो नहीं
उन
होता.
all कोई 9
Yes.
तीर्थंकर भगवान को पूजते हैं, ऐसा हो सकता है. So सूर्य आदि को परमेश्वर का अंश मानकर पूजते हैं. So वो अलग है. See, that is मिथ्यात्व. Sun is its own entity. बट उसको परमेश्वर का अंश है ऐसा हिंदू लोग बिलीव करते हैं. परंतु उसको तो एक प्रकाश की ही अधिकता भासित होती है. सो प्रकाशवान तो अन्य रत्नादिक भी होते हैं. अन्य कोई ऐसा लक्षण नहीं है जिससे उसे परमेश्वर का अंश माने. तथा चंद्रमादिक को धनादिक की प्राप्ति अर्थ पूजते हैं. परंतु उसके पूजने से ही धन होता तो सर्व दरिद्री इस कार्य को करें, इसलिए यह मिथ्यात्व है. तथा ज्योतिष के विचार से बुरे ग्रहादिक आने पर उनकी पूजा आदि करते हैं. इसके अर्थ दानादिक देते हैं. सो जिस प्रकार हिरणादिक स्वयमेव गमनादिक करते हैं और पुरुष के दाएं
1 second, I touched
uh,
something and something happened. I'm
Okay.
trying to scroll up.
Mhm. सो जिस प्रकार हिरण आदिक स्वयमेव गमन आदिक करते हैं, ओके, और पुरुष के दाएं बाएं आने पर सुख दुख होने के आगामी ज्ञान को कारण होते हैं, कुछ सुख दुख देने को समर्थ नहीं है, उसी प्रकार ग्रहादिक स्वयमेव गमनादिक करते हैं और प्राणी के यथासंभव योग को प्राप्त होने पर सुख दुख होने के आगामी ज्ञान को कारण होते हैं, कुछ सुख दुख देने के समर्थ नहीं है. So what they're saying is that these positions can give you a warning of what is coming, but they are not able to actually do it for you. So if you know, if you go to a ज्योतिषी, वो बोलते हैं आपके इसकी दशा है. So इस दशा के कारण it's giving you a warning. It's like an indication that you may have a bad time. It's just an indicator. It's not a doer. कोई तो उनका पूजन आदि करते हैं, इनको भी इष्ट नहीं होता. कोई नहीं करता, उनको भी इष्ट होता है. इसलिए उनका पूजन आदि करना मिथ्या भाव है. अभी देखो कई लोग हैं who believe in certain things, right? And they got rich and famous, whatever happened to them. इतना स्ट्रॉन्ग बिलीव होता है हमारे तो बस ये देवी देवता, बस उनके कारण ही हम तो जो है, बस उन्हीं के कारण है.
That was true in my grandma's side of the family. All the uncles, I don't remember the name of the goddess that they worship, but it's a family goddess apparently that they do worship, But it must be all the same thing you're talking about. But Prabhaji, over here, what is this thing about animal? They
Yeah.
are talking about Hiran. Where does Hiran, why does
Basically what they're saying is कि वो ग्रहों की पोजीशंस बताते हैं ना, just like a deer is moving around, right? अब कोई क्या बोलते हैं उसको, क्या बोलते हैं उसको, when you believe 13 को कुछ हो जाएगा, what's the term? Can't think of it.
Superstition.
Basically somebody makes up this thing. Yeah, superstition, right? Somebody makes a superstition that if the deer stands to the left of me, this is what's going to happen. Or if he stands to the right of me, this is what's going to happen. No, the deer, poor guy, is just doing its own rounds or whatever it's doing. It's just moving around. But you can make a superstition. The 13th date is going to come no matter whether you believe it or nothing. But people who believe something wrong is going to have to happen in the 13th. It will happen to them. Not because of 13th, that was going to happen regardless. But that person, if he confirms a couple of times, that becomes his belief. But it's just a coincidence.
This is very educational. Because of all of it's helping us understand all the other things that we see, right? And things that we've done or are being done or whatever. So it's very, very interesting.
It's interesting from point of view of all this is mithya and we should recognize it as that instead of engaging in it.
Yeah, अभी जैसे कि आपके तो राहु की दशा है, आपके तो फलाना है, और बेचारे राहु सूरज चंद्र, they are doing their own roaming around, whatever the normally they would do. They're not stopping or starting for you.
Yeah, I think this whole Jyotish thing happened
because moving.
Because this whole Jyotish thing happened because they noticed that when the position of the planets is in this position, a lot of people are experiencing something. So they called it that's what happened.
It's not like it's completely false. It can be a, logical science. There's nothing wrong with that. There can be calculations based on those positions and things can happen. That is not a problem. Just like Ajkal, you can predict earthquakes, you can predict rain, so there are indications which let you predict, and that's fine. But that doesn't mean they're doing it. That doesn't mean कि वो राहु ग्रह is causing problem for you, तो चलो उसको पूजा करते हैं, उसको अरे बाबजी don't spare me करो. No, that's not going to happen. So यहाँ कोई कहे देना तो पुण्य है, सो भलाई है, धर्म के अर्थ देना पुण्य है, यह तो दुख के भय व सुख के लोभ से देते हो. So you understand, इसलिए पाप ही है. So suppose I give a donation to a school or whatever. Why? कि मुझे बहुत दया आ रही है उन students पे, so people can see that I donate so much. All of that goes in the Pap Khata.
Say that again. Prabhaji, say that, repeat.
So, if I make a donation, so normally what you say कि भाई दान देना तो पुण्य का काम है ना, but not all types of दान देना is punya. It depends on the intention why you're giving it. Let's say, that I've seen a lot of these pratishtas and so many places you go, right? And they sometimes have to purposely do this कि किसने कितना donate किया, they make announcements, right? So ठीक है, I mean, announcement, again, I'm not completely against it. I mean, somewhat you're against, but somewhat it's needed to get other people motivated to do it, fine. But if the person who is donating has the back of the mind that, oh, how nice it will be, my name will be announced on the stage, then they've put it in the Pap Khata.
Correct, but then in this, maybe I wasn't fully paying attention, but in this case, I think, is it being said that when you see you feel pity or you feel sad, right? When you see, say,
so then what happens is you are actually supporting you're trying to comfort your sad feeling, and that's why you're giving.
And that is Pap.
Right. Because your goal should be, I have extra, I don't need it, I didn't bring it with me, मेरे पुण्य के उदय से मुझे extra मिल गया है, so I really don't need to take as much credit for it. Fine, I need to let it go. And fine, if they are worthy of it, I feel they might be needing it, so I'm giving it away. So it's not like I am doing a big favor to them.
So the credit I get, right? Not taking the credit, that I get.
Not taking the credit, because You don't feel like giving it to every needy person in the world, obviously not. तो जिसके पुण्य का उस दिन उदय था, उसको ही आपका देने का मन किया.
Correct. But it's when you feel the pity, that was the part that's
Right. So when you shouldn't give because
not
of
pity,
pity,
but
the reason behind it should be कि मुझे तो जो ये एक्स्ट्रा पैसा है उसको वैसे ही छोड़ना है. So pity में क्या होता है ना, we get that feeling of credit. So for example, if there is a shoe polish guy, right? उसके पास बड़े मुश्किल से छोटे मोटे एक दो चीजें हैं, and you feel pity कि बेचारा, maybe 1,000 rupees में I can just buy him the whole box. उस कितनी बड़ी बात हो जाएगी उसके लिए. And you do that and feel so proud of yourself. So that feeling that credit versus मुझे तो वैसे ही छोड़ना था, जिसको मिलना था उसको मिल गया, you're done with it. So your attachment towards that is gone when you don't take credit for it.
But Prabhaji, over here, what they are saying is when you do those types of pujas to calm down some planets or enhance the effect of some planets, then you're doing it because of you're afraid that in the future you will get some dukh ke, dukh ke
Right. So
kuch banenge
any
ya
donation
sukh ke
done
kuch
because of
banenge.
fear, lobh, man, all
So
of four things
that's what is
categories:
pap
lobh,
over
krodh,
here,
man,
right?
maya.
yeah,
Right,
That
exactly. In the other case that I'm talking about, it's man kashai.
man kashai.
But over here, they are saying that you get the puja done, so your future is better. कि दुख को टाल
Here
दिया,
they're
कि सुख
saying
को.
fear and lobh.
Sorry, say that again, Prabhaji.
Yes, वो पाप के खाते में जाएगा. I only added to it.
Okay.
So
Because
what I'm saying is when I read that line, I added to it. Here they
right,
talked about fear and lobh. I added the man kashai to it.
right.
इत्यादि अनेक प्रकार से ज्योतिषी देवों को पूजते हैं, सो मिथ्या है. तथा देवी दहाड़ी आदि हैं, वे कितनी ही तो व्यंतरादि व ज्योतिषिनी हैं, उनका अन्यथा स्वरूप मानकर पूजन आदि करते हैं. कितनी ही कल्पित हैं, सो उनकी कल्पना करके पूजन आदि करते हैं. इस प्रकार व्यंतर आदि के पूजने का निषेध किया है. अब फॉर एग्जाम्पल सरस्वती देवी, I don't even know if there is such a Devi existing who is going to help you with the knowledge or anything like that. So it could be completely made up कि आपके तो सरस्वती का वो है because you're very knowledgeable. And then somebody decided to give it a form. It's a white sari lady, Devi. So some of them can be
Saraswati is
completely
the
culprit.
name of the river.
इस प्रकार
Yeah,
Saraswati is
हाँ
the
वो
name of the
different है.
river.
but Saraswati is
वो भी
also
है, but
knowledge.
Saraswati Devi, which is considered Devi of knowledge.
Correct.
So now, I mean, I cannot imagine that there is physically actually such a Devi existing who wears a white sari and the whatever sitar, vitar and everything.
But हमारे
So,
Jains में तो Saraswati Devi is accepted, is what I have heard, and what
but
they do
it's
in the
accepted
temple.
by a different meaning, not by that white lady with the sitar.
Okay, it's
It's
accepted
just,
as a form of Gnan.
yes, that's all.
Oh, I don't
And
even
the
know
reason
what
they
that means. What does that mean that it's accepted as a form of Gnan? What does that mean?
it just means that I am assuming कि क्योंकि in those times the term Saraswati was used for this Devi of knowledge, that the writers of Jainism also during those times started using the word Saraswati to mean for knowledge. But I don't think Jains believe in that white saris sitar lady.
So Saraswati
And
really.
a lot of times knowingly these forms were created just to help people relate to something.
So maybe even in the Hindus, they did the same thing. They created the forms to allow people to
Yeah,
relate
Like I've
to a
heard that this
it's
physical
Hindu
Vishnu
something.
Brahma, there
mythology.
is no such souls as Vishnu, Brahma, and Mahesh. These are all kalpit. They're all made up.
Right,
And they
but
say it's like
it might,
incarnation of Vishnu.
And actually, in chapter 5, I was reading some of it because I thought we were going to do that. And in the first few pages, it does talk about the Vishnu Brahma and all of that. And it says that how is it possible that one form can convert into these forms and, all these other things? So,
right.
No,
But what
and
I want
even
to
some of
say
the
is,
well-read,
Their their ideology is like that. They believe in incarnation. So
of the God, and that there's only
Yeah.
one God, right? That
and
is
see, the Jainism is so much higher. हमारे में तो incarnation है, तो मतलब आप God हो ही नहीं सकते.
हो ही नहीं
जिनका incarnation खत्म हो गया, वो ही God हो सकते हैं.
But ma'am, in one of the Shwetambar reads I came across, even Bhagwan Adinath Tirthankar is incarnation form of Vishnu, something like that.
No, then मिथ्यात्व है वो, ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है.
Prabhaji, just like we
How,
just
how
said
can
that
it be incarnation
Saraswati,
of Vishnu? Because वैसे बोला जाता है कि Hinduism came much later than Jainism. Jainism was the first.
I have
And
no idea,
बहुत
but
पुराना.
I can forward you all that read. I mean, I'll do that.
Mm-hmm.
They're
So,
just
नहीं,
many-
even within Hindu, some of the people who are well-read, who are more into knowledge, उन्होंने खुद मुझे बताया है कि there is no such thing. This is all made up. This like उत्पाद, व्यय और ध्रुवीय को समझाने के लिए they created this Vishnu, Brahma,
that is
like Brahma.
exactly what I'm thinking. Their gods, they gave it a physical form because the abstract is
Just
so
so
hard for
people can
common people
relate
to
to it. Yes,
understand.
yes, because उत्पाद, ध्रुवीय and व्यय is a little abstract terms. So उसको समझाओ कैसे, तो उसके नाम से देवी देवता बना दिए.
Almost all of them might be like that only is what I'm thinking.
Yes.
And now
yes.
people have just not been able to grasp the whole meaning behind it. And then they are now floating in the whole ritualistic
This is
arena
what
in
happens.
Hinduism.
Vyatva just goes on and on and
Even
on.
Jainism, we don't want to
There's a lot
understand
of
the
Vyatva in
mood,
Jainism too.
then you just end up with all the kriyas.
Also, because it's so hard to follow, right? There's such absolute,
Abstract
right?
ideas.
And
Yes.
but they're also they're abstract and they're very absolute, right? It's tough.
Yeah.
So then all of these other things
Yep.
become easier.
And it takes
But
time. You
see,
see how much time we are spending doing this? It takes time. So people have less and less time with each generation.
But also,
Mhm.
yeah, well, time and Shraddha, right? Time and do you have to give it
Shraddha
up?
is not
No,
there
see,
because
Believe.
knowledge
think
is
about
not
it.
there.
The
Your
kids
Shraddha.
who would learn this pure form of Jainism from the beginning, they will not have much hard time, grasping it.
Mhm.
So यहाँ कोई, that is why, children who grew up doing Pathshala, it's they are very much better off.
Yeah.
Even if they, let's say in their youth, they got busy, earning, busy, whatever, it comes back to them. यहाँ क्षेत्रपाल पद्मावती आदि पूजने का निषेध. So क्षेत्रपाल पद्मावती is very popular in lot of our Jain temples. So यहाँ कोई कहे क्षेत्रपाल, दहाड़ी, पद्मावती आदि देवी, यक्ष. By the way, we are out of time. What do you guys want to do? This is a new topic. We can leave it for next week.
Can we do it for next week, please?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a very long topic. We should just start a new one at the next point.
Mm-hmm.
Prabhaji,
I have just one question. Prabhaji,
Yeah.
maybe we can close and then before people drop off, I want one person to select that I will be the person doing a summary till this point, yesterday's and today's summary for Friday. And somebody who's going to come
Let's
on
do that.
Friday.
Let me do the Janvani and you
Okay.
guys think about it. सहजानंदी शुद्ध स्वरूपी अविनाशी हूँ आत्म स्वरूप. सहजानंदी शुद्ध स्वरूपी अविनाशी हूँ आत्म स्वरूप. सहजानंदी शुद्ध स्वरूपी अविनाशी हूँ आत्मस्वरूप। निज निधि निज में बताई यह अनंत उपकार है। इसके लिए जिन वाणी माँ को वंदना शत बार है, वंदना शत बार है। जय जिनेन्द्र सभी को।
Hemal,
And,
add to the summary.